Right, so I need to change the V-belts on this car. There are two V-belts over here which run the aircon compressor and the power steering pump as well. And then below is another V-belt for the alternator, which is easier to get to from the bottom. The difficulty with this compressor looks like that it's got to be removed entirely so that you can actually get these V-belts over here off the pulley and loose. So I'm not quite sure how to do this, but it looks to me as if this pulley over here of the compressor is actually attached to the water pump on a bracket, and you can see there's either it's a push-in sort of plastic bush, or there's a bolt or something that has to be removed. But clearly that has to be removed so that the compressor can come free, and then the compressor needs to be removed so that you can get the V-belts off. So to take off the slack, I think what I'm going to do is to loosen these bolts over here, or these nuts over here. They're on slots. I don't know if you can see that they're actually slotted. And then there's one at the bottom to be loosened off as well. And then this pump can actually be pushed out of the way. It'll give the belts a bit of slack and probably make it easier to work on. So I'm going to change the V-belt while I have the radiator out. There you can see the crankshaft pulley. Above that is the aircon compressor. There's the power steering pulley, and then below that is the alternator, and then that's the adjustment bracket over there for the alternator, and it pivots on this bolt over here. So if you loosen that and then loosen this nut on the bracket plus that one at the top so that it can swivel, then you should be able to push the alternator back and then get the V-belt off. But the compressor needs to come off first, or the compressor pulley at least needs to come off first. Here's another view from the bottom. You can see there's the crankshaft pulley, there's the compressor pulley, and then it looks like those two bolts at the top there also secure the compressor into that mounting. So those will have to be loosened off as well. The two bolts, the one over there and the one over there, have been loosened off now. I've also loosened the one at the bottom from underneath. And then there's a fourth one below that needs to be loosened off. And then I've been able to wedge something in there to push the power steering pump back a bit. And you can see that there's quite a lot of slack now on the V-belts. So now I have to remove the compressor. So I've removed these four bolts over here, and there are two on that side as well, and that has allowed the compressor to now come away, and you can see that the V-belts have come off. So I just need to get underneath the car and then just pull them out from underneath. There's a bolt over here which bolts into the pulley of the compressor, and it obviously had a bush around it, which was this little rubber piece over here which fell apart once I pulled it out. And this locates over here into this hole over here on this bracket, which then spins the water pump. So if you look over here carefully, you can see that this is actually eaten away into the bracket, and the bracket has got a bit of wear and tear as well. So what I've done is I've got a friend of mine to turn me a bush and with a new bolt, which I'm now going to put in there, and then I can push it back in, and it should be a much tidier fit. So everything is back together again, and you can see how that bolt with its bush is located into that bracket for the water pump. And from the top you can see everything is back in place again. The V-belts that I've used for the aircon compressor are Dunlop 13x188 FB469, and the ones that I've used for the alternator are FB458. It's actually not such a big job after all.